On today's episode, I want to talk about language learning. German is my third language of 5, so I do have a bit of a leg up, but I want to talk about what I did to help learn Deutsch, as well as my local dialect of Hohenloisch very quickly. So let's talk about it. Hello here, Lieblings. I'm Mari, science fiction and fantasy author who's been living in southern Germany since 2014. As I said before, German is my third language. I grew up speaking English and Spanish. My parents raised me in the one parent, one language method, although I don't think that concept even had a name back in 1986, but it's what my parents had decided as the correct way to raise me. At least what they felt was best for me. When I got to college, I decided to learn German along with getting a Spanish degree. The actual story behind the why on my deciding to learn German, it could actually be its own episode. So if you are interested on why I decided randomly in college to start studying German, let me know. But just take my word for it. I decided I wanted to learn German, so I started and took 2 years of it. Then for shits and giggles, I decided that wasn't enough, so I started studying French and Russian, because why not? Granted, I haven't used either French or Russian since college, so those are really rusty, but obviously that wasn't the case with German since now I live here. I had to learn very quickly. I arrived in Germany on a Saturday, and I had started my new job as a microbiologist that following Monday. It was sink or swim. So, what did I do to learn German fast? It's YouTube, so we're going to do a list. 1, be in a position where you can't fall back on your native language with an asterisk, and the asterisk being unless you are absolutely drowning. In my journey to become fluent in Spanish as well as German, first with Spanish, I spent a great deal of time, several summers, in Peru growing without my parents. And of course, here in Germany, just by myself. So I can tell you that the vast majority of natives in both countries, they do want to help you. They love that you are trying, and they are almost always on hand to help you where they can. Of course, you'll run into the native speakers who are going to be negative and make dickish comments that can demotivate you in your language learning journey. But honestly, on the whole, they are a small number compared to the rest who truly mean the best. So while you are first starting out, don't worry about the grammar, worry about making yourself understood, try to utilize the vocabulary you already know, and don't worry about being exact. You may have to do some hella mental gymnastics to describe what you want to describe, but you'll get there, and that's just kind of how you learn. It is super frustrating in the beginning. I was a microbiologist for 5 years before even going to Germany, so I knew how to do my job, and I was really good at it, but trying to communicate my wealth of knowledge when I had the vocabulary of a first grader was a huge blow to my ego. But you have to just keep at it. It does get easier, but you have to keep pushing on. You just have to get the words out. You throw around those word salads, and if you try your damnedest and you're still struggling after all of that, then, you can try to fall back in your native language if possible. I myself didn't have people to fall back on in English. Definitely not in Peru. In Germany, I had some, but of course they also wanted me to learn, so we tried to minimize English as much as possible, and this is what I mean at work. Either way, I never felt lesser in either of these countries. And after the first 6 months in Germany, it did finally get easier. Something had clicked. And then it was an uphill slope. But I just didn't give up. You just have to keep going. Number 2, watching TV shows and films that you have already watched. So with today's streaming capabilities, it is easy to watch films or TV shows in other languages. So I suggest starting with something easy. My husband usually recommends Finding Nemo. I recommend Star Wars, but you see where our priorities are, right? I think you could start watching it dubbed in the language you want to learn, but with English subtitles. And then as you grow more comfortable, you switch the subtitles to the new language. And for me personally, I found that it helps seeing the words that are spoken in order to help with vocabulary. And then if you start feeling really gutsy, you can start mixing up languages. But this is for polyglots. I've been trying to watch more things in Spanish so that my husband has more exposure since he's learning Spanish. But that means watching it with German subtitles. So that's fun. Number 3, reading books you have already read. I've seen a lot of folks rereading Harry Potter in said new language, but I mean, personally, I find Rowling a little too problematic, so I'm not going to personally recommend her. But at the same time, you do you. You know, the point is you should reread a book that you already have read in this new language. The first book I ever read in German was Die Schwester der Königin, which is The Other Boleyn Girl. Yeah, that was pretty insane. I kind of shouldn't have started that complicated, but here we are. Hey, regardless, you'll know the story, so it's just a matter of using your knowledge to see how this new language tells the same story. And it's just like with TV and film, the idea of doing this is to help you with your vocabulary. And I'm not gonna lie, folks, I'm actually really terrible with this one. Reading is my way of relaxing, and reading in another language hasn't really been relaxing. However, I have been watching a lot of German films and television shows with German subtitles, and I really enjoy that. And at the moment, I have been rewatching Downton Abbey, but with German subtitles, but mostly because I've been having it running in the background while I'm doing other things, so I want to hear it in the original language. But it is fun to see how the subtitles work out. Number 4, join the local theater. This is for more advanced speakers, but I have found that this was really helpful for me. I have done the local theater for the last few years before the Rona, and while it not only helped with my German, it was even more helpful for me in learning the local dialect. So if you haven't seen my previous videos, I have occasionally talked about living in the region of Germany known as Hohenloisch. It is a subdialect of Franconian. However, it is not in Bavaria. We are very well seated in Baden-Württemberg. Every year, they host a play for the community, and the entire play is in Hohenloisch. The first few times I watched those plays, I felt like I was watching gibberish. I hardly understood any of it. One of my close friends is from Bavaria, also felt the same way when she first moved to the area. So it's not just it's just the thing about dialects. Like, not all Germans understand each other. That's just the fascinating thing about German dialects. So anyway, fast forward a few years later, I was then invited to join in. And fortunately, the characters I played spoke High German, so I wasn't expected to speak in dialect. But it made a world of difference because I had the script, which was in High German, and then hearing my fellow castmates say their lines in dialect. And it really helped me learn Hohenloisch in a way I didn't think possible. If you don't have an issue with being on stage, or even if you're a person who likes to do tech and you can then be backstage, just having a script is like having little subtitles for the local dialect. It is super, super helpful. By the end of this month, I'll have been in Germany for 8 years, and in all that time, these steps have helped me immensely in speeding up my learning of German. It is still not perfect. I honestly could probably focus on working on my grammar some more, you know, the there, die, das, but I probably won't. Girlfriend ain't got time for that. What about you? What tricks do you recommend that could help you learn a language faster? Let me know in the comments below. And that's it. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're new here, please consider subscribing and give this video a thumbs up. It lets me and the YouTubes know that you like this kind of content and you want to see more. Please leave me a comment if you have any questions or if there's a certain topic you'd like to see on this channel. If you want more info on my books and newsletter, please check them out in the description below. And don't forget to connect with me on social media, whether it is through TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. And that's it. Until next time, ade!